So a few weeks ago, I got an unexpected email. I recognized the name, but I hadn't had any contact with this person for about 2 years. However, 2 years previous to receiving that email, for about 3 years, I got lots of emails from this person. Before I became pastor here, I was what's called a district superintendent, and I supervised 152 churches and their pastors over in the Eastern Panhandle. And this person, for about 3 years, sent me lots of emails with concerns and complaints about her pastor. And she had a good pastor who made a couple mistakes that most folks would have worked with. But she organized a posse, got them working, kept them complaining and undermining, and eventually she and they got what she wanted. Under the stress, the pastor became physically ill, and I needed to move them before the pastor lost it. So I moved the pastor to a new congregation, and she did very, very well. So this email, after 2 years of silence, comes, and the woman who wrote it apologizes. She said that while she got what she wanted, she wasn't happy with that she had been wrestling with God about what had happened. And she was writing to say that she was sorry and that God had continued to work on her in her heart and change her life, and she was in a much better place now. I can relate to her. There are times that I can recall, all the way from my childhood to very recently, when I have wanted something or something to happen, and I've engaged in some attitude or some behavior that at the time seemed very justified, because that attitude and that behavior, although it was spiritually immature, not very good, it helped me to get what I want. Can anybody relate to what I'm saying? Or am I the only sinner in the house today? All right? If your blood pressure just went up a little bit, or you said, oh no, here we go, you may have had a similar problem. There's something that you want, you're right in wanting it, and so you justify some questionable attitudes and behaviors in order to get what you want. But then God comes to wrestle with you. And you find out that really you've wanted something better than that. That's the story of Jacob that you just heard read from you. His name even tells the story. His name is Jacob, and that name can be translated in a few different ways. It can mean heel, it can mean deceiver, it can mean trickster, and that's how the man operated in his life. When he wanted something, he would sometimes employ tricks or deception to get what he wanted. His mother helped him to develop this habit. She thought he was the best boy, The older brother, Esau, not so much the best boy. And so Mom and Jacob decide that he is the one who needs the family inheritance, not the older brother Esau. And so they arrange this trick, they arrange this deception with their with Jacob's feeble dad. And Jacob, it works. It works. He gets what he wants. He gets the family inheritance. And then he has to run. He has to run from his brother Esau and from the shame that he's brought upon his dad, and he runs. And for years and years, he is away from the family. But then circumstances conspire, and he can no longer avoid facing what he did to his brother and to his dad. He has to go back home. He's on his way back home. He's ready to meet his brother and 400 of his brother's famously armed friends. And so Jacob pushes the family ahead of him so that they meet his brother first. And he camps by a river. The sun sets and he's there beside that river, the river to his back and his brother to the front. And there in the middle of the night, somebody grabs him and tries to wrestle him to the ground and pin him. And we're wondering, who is that? Is that his brother Esau, or someone whom Esau has sent? Or is Jacob wrestling with himself that night? As the sun begins to rise, we find out that Jacob has been wrestling all night. Yeah, with his brother in here and with himself in here. And he's been wrestling with God. He's been wrestling with God. Friends, there are times when God is going to invite us to wrestle. There are times when God is going to invite us to wrestle. And for some of us, that is right now. Okay, I want to put an image in your mind so you will not forget wrestling. I'm going to show you a little video. That's me. I am getting ready to wrestle. You're going to see my friend, the Reverend Dr. Joe Kinniston, on the other side of the court. At that time, Joe was the pastor of the Lewisburg United Methodist Church, and I was pastor of Trinity and Elizabeth Chapel United Methodist Churches, and we were going to raise money to buy mosquito nets for folks on the continent of Africa. And so we had this basketball game where Joe's team cheated by bringing in a former NBA player, but the game ended in a tie. And we raised almost $3,000 and were able to buy about 300 mosquito nets. And you will see that the wrestling match also ends in a tie. But I want that image in your mind, okay? I don't want you able to leave church without that in your mind. Because you and I, because we worship the God whom we worship, we are also called to wrestle. We are also called to wrestle with God. I've been scheduling a wrestling match with God for about the last month. Almost every evening before I go to sleep, I've scheduled a wrestling match with God so that we can work some things out. And the way that I've been wrestling is I've been using an ancient prayer It's called the prayer of the examine. I'm going to show you what the prayer of the examine is. If you need to take a picture of this so you can remember it, go ahead and do that. The prayer of the examine finds its origins in an ancient saint, Saint Ignatius, founder of the Jesuits. And he said this is a wonderful spiritual exercise for you and me to wrestle with God. Here's the first thing you need to know about the examine. You recognize, whenever you do this, you recognize that you are in the presence of God, all right? You're with God. And you ask God's Holy Spirit to identify a couple of things that happened during the day for which you are grateful, for which you can express some gratitude. So you just kind of say, God, I thank you that you're here with me. Holy Spirit of God, would you help me to look over my day and bring to my mind a couple of things that I should be really grateful for. It can be as simple as the aroma of your morning coffee, or as profound as the conversation that you were able to have with someone, but you offer thanks for it, okay? Here's the second thing you do in the prayer of the examine. You review your day with God. God, this is what I had for breakfast. This is what I did after breakfast. At 9 o'clock, I did this. At 11 o'clock, I did this. Go through your day, okay? Review it. And as you're reviewing it, you invite the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, is there something that I need to look at closely here? Something you want to bring to me? Is there something that I could have done differently today? Let me see that. And once you figure that out, you go to number 3. And number 3 is just, God, given what you've shown me, tomorrow I intend to live differently. Would you help me to make a different choice than the one I made today? Okay? Can you see how in reviewing your day, in squeezing gratitude out of your day, in praying for change as you've reviewed your day, can you see how that is a wrestling with God? Okay, I want to take it just a step deeper, okay? This is one way that you can review your day with God, okay? FACE is going to kind of be the acronym, FACE. We're going to meet God face to face as we review the day. And here is F. Oh God, as I review my day, can you tell me, what was I afraid of? What fears were present in me today? Let the Holy Spirit bring that up. Second one, A. Oh God, were there attachments that I struggled with today? Were there people that I was too attached to, that I needed to self-differentiate from? Were there projects that I was too attached to? Were there outcomes that I was too attached to? And it got in the way of me living the life that you're calling me to live. What attachments, oh God? Okay, the next one is C, control. Oh God, were there people who I was trying to control today? Were there organizations where I was getting a little obsessive, trying to get my way, trying to control it? Were there control issues, outcomes that I thought had to happen or nobody was going to be happy? Let me see that, Holy Spirit. And the last one, entitlements. Oh God, today did I act, did I behave, did I think as if I am entitled? Did I say things like, I'm important and therefore I don't have to blank? Did I play the victim today and think that I had the right to act like a victim and to get people's sympathies? What entitlements, oh God. And then what you do is you simply invite the Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit, identify one of these areas that I need to concentrate on today as we're talking, as we're wrestling. Is there one area that you really want to speak to me about? Can you see how that's a wrestling with God? A wrestling with God. If I could, let me read to you a portion of the email that my friend sent me, my frenemy. She said, many things led to my bitterness, but none of them excused the way I acted. Here's where it gets really good. Listen closely, please. You were always kind. But I'm afraid I wasn't. What she doesn't know is how I talked about her to other people. Lord have mercy. She says, it took a 7-month sabbatical from the church and wrestling with the Holy Spirit to enable me to let go of all the anger. God is truly not just good, but great. I hope you enjoy being a pastor again. Hopefully not as much stress as being a district superintendent. I remember your first sermon at our charge conference. You spoke on stepping out of our box, and I still think it every now and then. And the woman who, for about 3 years, only had curses for me says this: you have a gift, and I hope the people at Suncrest appreciate it. Woo! Wrestle with that now. Come on. Again, I'm sorry you had to bear the brunt of my anger. Blessings. I can relate to her. Can you? And I'm grateful that there's a God who, when I am justifying bad behavior and attitude, I'm grateful for a God who, like with Jacob, continues to be active in my life. And I'm grateful for a God who shows up at certain times and says, we gotta wrestle about this. You may have gotten what you wanted, but I'm here to tell you that there's something deeper that you really want, and what you want is my blessing, and I'm not gonna bless that. So we need to wrestle with that and get it out of the way. So I'm wondering, is there somebody else here who tonight needs to get on your sumo suit and you need to schedule a time when you and God begin to wrestle over something that you have justified that cannot be justified any longer? As this story ends, the sun is getting ready to come up. And we find out that God asks Jacob, what is your name? My name is Jacob. My name is Heel. My name is Deceiver. My name is Trickster. And God replies, not anymore. From today on, your name is Israel, the one who strives, the one who wrestles with me. And God blesses. God blesses. We wrestle with God.